So let's get started. It is 2:02 here in San Francisco, 2 minutes past the hour, and welcome to this investor update. My name is Peter Jensen. I'm the CEO of RocketFuel. With me here today, I have Ben Jankowicz, who is our CFO, and we do these updates on a regular basis. For those of you who follow us, we want to just basically provide you a quick overview of what we're up to, and give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. And so it's really the opportunity for you to get the information you need in order to make investment decisions. And I think I'll spend probably 15-20 minutes on an update. It's always a challenge because at these events, we have people who are brand new to RocketFuel who don't really know what we're doing and our key messages. And then we have those of you who follow us on a regular basis who've heard the story before, and you just really want the latest incremental updates. So I'm going to spend 15 minutes just talking a little bit about the market, where I see it, and then some of the investment opportunities and how we view the market. And then at the end, provide you a quick update on where we are from a execution point of view. So just quickly, for everyone, what is it that we're doing? Well, let me see if I can get rid of this. Yeah, almost. So as most of you know, we are a payment solution. We allow e-commerce merchants who sell stuff online to accept payment in either cryptocurrencies or via bank transfer. So that's what we do. And the way it works is we have quite a unique way of doing this. And this is one of our customers, Sky Tours. And as you go in and you purchase an airline ticket, like on any other website, you can say purchase with credit cards, or you can say purchase with crypto, or purchase with the bank transfer. If you click the last two options, a little pop-up window on the right-hand side, you should be able to see that on the screen, pops up. And it's a simple one-click solution. We're the only one who are providing this very, very easy to use interface, and you can choose whether you want to pay with a QR code, which is the old way of doing it, and which is what 95% of people are doing, or directly from an exchange that you have with Coinbase or OKCoin or any of the other exchanges out there. So it's really, really easy to do. Now, that is the shopping experience itself, and this will work on any website. Of course, what we have in the background is a dashboard for both merchants and for the shoppers. So for the shoppers, they can see all their transactions over time, what is the status, all sorts of statistics. But more importantly, for the merchants, they get all sorts of statistics. And in fact, it is one area we feel is very competitive and something we can potentially charge for in the future. But there's a lot of interesting statistics about who's buying what, when, with which funds, and so on, that we can make available to merchants. We are making a lot of it available today so that they have a complete overview of their business. So that's what the tool is all about. Now, let me talk a little bit about the investment opportunity that I see is happening in the market. We're pretty excited about this, and I've talked this before because I'm out here in San Francisco. I've been here in the Bay Area for 25 years. And once in a while, you have the opportunity of a very large dysfunctional market with a lot of problems. And you have a new technology that enables you to solve those problems. So when you have a big market that's inefficient and old-fashioned and ideally growing, and then you have technology, that's where all the successes are happening. Okay, so we all know about the internet technology and how many different companies leverage that technology to automate tons of processes, business processes out there to the benefit of all of us, whether it's in finance, e-commerce, dating apps, what have you. They're all there. So, and again, the point from an investment point of view that I make is that in the early days, in the late 90s, everyone was discussing, should I invest in Cisco, or should I invest, which internet companies should I invest in? Google, should I invest in Yahoo, MySpace, whatever they were called, right? And the truth of the matter is, for those who invested very early, it didn't really matter. If you invested in 5 to 10 of the early companies, you're doing just fine now from an investment perspective. Then we had the mobile phone. The perfect example I always give is Lyft and Uber. Again, you had a very large transportation industry, and it's very inefficient, as we know. If you remember the old days with taxis and waiting for them in the rain and all that, credit card machines not working, it wasn't efficient. I think we all can agree that it's much better now from a consumer perspective, as well as from the drivers, that they utilize their cars between 90 and 95%, where in the old days it was 50%. So again, a good example. And again, should I invest in Lyft or Uber? It didn't matter. If you did that 5 years ago, you'd be just fine. Then we had cryptocurrencies about eight years ago or 10 years ago, depending on how you look at it. And again, you have a new technology. And again, 8 years ago, there were people who were saying, oh, should I invest in Bitcoin or should I invest in another currency? Because Bitcoin is 50 and the other one is only 20. And is it going to go to 100 and all of that? People probably, some of you remember those days. Today, it's at 50,000, right? Or 45, whatever it is today. But the point that I'm making is, those who invested early in the cryptocurrencies, as long as they invested in a little basket across 5 to 10 different ones, they're doing just fine. Now, within crypto, I call this the first wave. What has been going on in the last 8 years was investing in crypto as an asset. And that is great, and people have made good money, and the technology has been evolving. What we're entering now is the second wave, which is crypto as an infrastructure. Okay, and this again presents a new investment opportunity, because this is the early days, right? We are an early company. There are a few others, and whether it's within payments, crypto payments, whether it's security, whether it's crypto management, there are many tech companies that are contributing to the infrastructure of crypto. And so we see now that the second wave is crypto as a utility and infrastructure. And it's very, very relevant now as we're discussing an infrastructure bill here in the US. But really, currencies and payments, that's infrastructure. Any well-functioning country needs a good payment system and good currencies. And of course, we believe that just like everything else went digital, so are currencies. Why wouldn't they? And do we really believe that payments are going to continue to be physical with credit cards and CVC codes and chips on the card? Of course not. They're going to go digital as well. So we're early in this second wave, but it has started. Payments are happening today. We have our customers, and they are getting a bigger and bigger portion of their revenue from cryptocurrencies. So it's happening, but a lot of you are in the same situation now. Which of these should I invest in? And I would say, if you invest in many of 5 to 10, I think you'll be in the same situation 5 years from now as you would have had to invest in Coinbase 5, 7, 8 years ago when they were our size, and so on. Now, as I said, payments are happening today. The adoption is accelerating, and it's going to continue to accelerate as more and more national central banks are issuing their own digital currencies. Now, El Salvador, this week, they accepted Bitcoin. So it's not their own digital coin, but I'm sure they will issue their own at some point. But more and more countries are doing this. China is the one that's furthest ahead. And I'm pretty sure that the US, that's my prediction, that this winter, definitely in 2022, the US will announce their plans for digital currency, digital version of the dollar. Why? Because we do not want the Chinese yuan to be the dominant currency in the world. So that's the first wave versus the second wave. And when people ask me, which one should I invest in, Bitcoin or what have you? I say, you know what? It went from 50 to 50,000. I'm not sure you're going to get the same return over the next 5 years if you invest in cryptocurrencies. But I do believe if you take a company like ours with a market cap of 25 million or whatever it is today, and you take 5 other similar companies, you will be able to see the same return on investment in some of these investments. I can't guarantee you we're going to be one of them, but we're going to do our best. So my advice is continue investing a little bit in cryptocurrencies, but take a look at infrastructure. When has infrastructure not been a good investment? Think about railroads, think about Cisco computers, Cisco networks, and so on. Infrastructure has always been a good investment long-term, and I think it'll be a good investment within the crypto space as well. So if you want to invest in RocketFuel, if you are a retail investor, buy it in the open market. If you're institutional, contact us. So that's our view on the whole crypto space, and it's important for us to basically separate these. I saw someone was raising a hand. I'd like to go through this, and then we will take questions at the end. Okay, so that's a little bit about the market. Let's just talk a little bit about our solution. I don't really want to go into a lot of details. Most of you have heard us say this before, and if you haven't, set up a separate meeting and we'll talk about it. Suffice to say that the existing payment industry is old. It's based on 40-year-old technology that was invented before the internet with credit cards, and it's just not working. Merchants are paying high fees. They're getting high chargebacks. They're getting tons of declines, and they're spending millions on fraud prevention tools. And no one's happy because it's not working. You still have all these exposures with Equifax and others where the data is lost. It's just not secure, even though it's very, very, very expensive. And from the consumer's point of view, it's not ideal either. You have, I think I have 30 different accounts around on the internet. They all have asked for my credit card, and I worry every day that one of those sites are going to be breached and my information has been stolen. And it's just too complicated. I have to put in a credit card number. I have to put a CVC code in. I have to accept a call from the bank if I'm buying something overseas because they want to make sure. It's just not an efficient system. It's just like the old taxi system. We all felt, yeah, this is how it is. You have to wait on the corner. Yeah, they sometimes show up. And we now learned that there's a better way. And it's going to be the same with payment systems as we look back. So we have, of course, developed a solution that handles that. And instead of going through all the features, I'd rather spend a little bit of time and remind you what it is that makes us unique and different in the market. Because even though we're early, there are a few others who do the same as we do. Of course, we think we do it better and all of that. But yeah, so where is it that we're unique? Well, first of all, our user experience is quite unique. There's no one out there who's got the same user interface as us, making it super easy to use, no redirect, no QR codes, all of that. It's the way we believe it should be, because it's just like how people are used to it from Amazon, which is a pretty good benchmark. We also have a price settlement guarantee. That's very important for our merchants. We're the only one who does this. And what does that mean? It means merchants are worried about fluctuation in cryptocurrencies, and so what we have said is, okay, if you're selling a $100 sweater, if there's a little bit of fluctuation between the prices displayed and the transaction is actually accepted, which there can be a little bit of movement, we will cover that. And so we guarantee every merchant that they always get $100 for that sweater. And they really like that. And they can, by the way, we settle daily. We can either settle in US dollars or euros or what have you, fiat currencies, which is what most merchants want. But of course, they can also get payment in cryptocurrencies if they'd like that. And then what's also unique about our solution is we accept both crypto and bank transfer. The reality is, I saw the other day, there was an article that said that about 10% of adults in the US, they own crypto. Well, it's good, but it's still only 10%. So what about the other 90? They also want all the benefits that come from basing a payment solution on blockchain technology, which ours is, which means no chargebacks, no declines, and all that. And this allows all consumers and shoppers to pay with our solution and get our benefits, not only those who only have Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. Other benefits, of course, we're cutting the fees dramatically for the merchants. We had one merchant that paid 8% with someone else, and we're cutting it to less than half. And that combined with no chargebacks and declines, they love it. We support all wallets and all exchanges and all currencies out there. And we're really agnostic. We don't care where you have your cryptocurrencies or your dollars, if it's fiat currency. We're just facilitating the payment. We're that infrastructure that allows the payment, but in a much more efficient way in the old ways of doing it. So last thing I always talk about is the team, because I know a lot of investors care. We have done this before. This is my sixth startup. Sold a company last year to IBM, have sold companies to Cisco and VMware, built them up, sold them to these, and generated return to my shareholders, which is really what we're here to do. Geert Funk, our chairman and founder, he has two payment service providers out of Europe. He's got more than 100 merchants in his shop. He's been doing this for more than 15 years. He knows payments inside and out. He's the one who saw A, how inefficient it is. He knows that. And B, what can blockchain and cryptocurrencies do to alleviate all of these problems that the current systems provide. And then we have Ben. He's our CFO. He's also a lawyer. It is important when you deal with payments in the financial sector that we do everything the right way. There are a lot of regulations, and we're doing our best to keep up with all of them. And then Rohan has just been in this business, in the crypto business, for a long time. He's driving all of our R&D. So again, proven track record of people who've done this before. It doesn't guarantee success, but I would say after doing it 5 times, I make fewer mistakes and I make more of the right decisions, and it goes to the entire team. So with that, I think, did I do this? Yeah, I did this in about 15 minutes. That's what we wanted to prepare. No, I do want to talk a little bit about our traction, obviously. So it's September 7th or so. I joined a year ago on September 1st. And that's when we started to define the product and develop the product. And we launched it, as you know, in the spring of this year. And we have our first customers. We have revenue, as you saw in our calendar Q1, which is the January, February, March quarter. We booked the first $10,000. And that was deferred revenue. And we are starting to realize that. Our auditors tell us we can do this on a monthly basis over 12 months. In Q2, we also booked revenue. And I can say that we're going to continue to increase our revenue in Q3 as well. So still early days, just like Coinbase and all the others were very early, still low market cap. And as our traction increases, of course, we expect that our market cap will increase as well. And we provide a return to our shareholders. What else do I want to talk about? Ben, any comments here on traction that I've forgotten?
No, I think you've pretty much covered it all, Peter.
Okay, and we haven't gotten in trouble with the SEC for what I've said?
I hope not. Hope they're not listening.
Good. Okay, all right. So, but yeah, that's the financial. Obviously, we are working closely with various strategic partners on strategic partnerships, in addition to working directly with individual merchants to implement our technologies. So with that, I'd like to open it up for questions. Abi, can you just start with any questions that have been typed into the QA?
So no questions have been added so far, but we have Stanley Wunderlich, who has raised his hand. So if you could allow him to speak, then maybe we can get him on.
Yeah. Okay, so there's one question, Stanley. I'll get to you in a minute. But Alex, you said a little bit about how you will scale. There's a question: how will you scale? And we are right now raising some more money, and we are expanding our sales team. We've spent this summer really building a very, very good lead generation machine that we're optimizing. I mean, this has to be automated using the latest technologies, HubSpot and ZoomInfo and all those market automation tools. And the way we're going to scale is simply hiring sales and marketing people in the regions we operate in. And this is what all companies like us do here in the Silicon Valley. But we have a very partner-centric model where we want to leverage partners that already have a relationship with the merchants. So for example, payment service providers, for example, banks, for example, shopping cart providers like Shopify and Magenta and WooCommerce. They all could also be web development agencies. All of these people who today serve merchants and have a relationship with them, what they are looking for always is what are ways that we can provide additional services that benefit these merchants. So that's how we're going to do that. One thing we didn't talk about, I forgot to mention, is people often ask us, how do you make money? And we make money. Well, there are many ways we can make money. Initially, we charge a fee, a percentage of all transactions, and it is obviously less than what the customers are paying today. But there are so many ways that I don't really want to come into here, because in case we have competitors listening, but we have some other ways that we are going to leverage all our transactions and make money on that as well. There is a question, what is RocketFuel's stand on CBDC versus vis-a-vis crypto? It's very simple in my mind. You have basically a lot of currencies out there today. You have Bitcoin, but you also have stable coins, right? And this goes back to the two waves I talked about, because so far people have been investing in crypto mostly as an investment, and they've made good money on it. But I believe that the biggest benefit of this is, as I said, crypto as an infrastructure. And those people, like my mother, she just, if I have to send her money, or she sends me money, or she pays her bills, she just doesn't want to pay all the fees to the banks and to the credit cards. But she does not want to take a risk for the fluctuation. So I believe that in 5-10 years, a lot of people, the majority, are just going to be using the central banks issued currencies, and that's fine. And there'll still be people who are going to invest in Bitcoin. That's fine too. They do it for different purposes. We don't care. We support them all. So in El Salvador, we can take payments, and they're going to be paying with Bitcoin. In China, if they use the digital version of the Chinese yuan, we'll take that. With the infrastructure, we're going to make money either way. So we'll see who wins. It's going to be a combination. It's not one versus the other. Okay. Stan, you had a question. Please speak up. No? All right. Any other questions? Feel free to just speak up or type it into the chat room.
We have another question, Peter.
Yeah. So there's a question that says, if crypto's price dropped humongously, will RocketFuel incur the difference and pay their merchants? So interesting. We do not run any risk from a currency fluctuation perspective. So let me give you an example. When a merchant is selling their $100 sweater, what happens is that the shopper will go in and say, okay, I want to buy that $100 sweater. I'd like to pay with my Bitcoin in Coinbase. This is just an example, but I'd like to do that. And so they connect to their Coinbase account, and we calculate exactly how many Bitcoins are required to pay for that $100 sweater. It's going to be 0.05782. And the shopper says, yes, please pay. And what we do in that second is we exchange the Bitcoins that we take out of the account into US dollars or euros or whatever fiat currency that the merchant wants to receive the money in, and then just deposit into their account. So there is we don't hold any currencies, and we don't want to hold any currencies. That's not the business we're in. That's the business the exchanges are in. So we have almost zero risk on the in the exchanges. We have the risk we have is if it drops, whatever drops in the seconds between we display a price and when the shopper says purchase, but it's nothing. So we've already made those calculations. We don't want to take risk with crypto. Okay. Feel free to just speak up or type them in.
Peter, we have one more question.
Okay, am I missing it here? Oh yeah, no, I should just scroll down. Oh, there's plenty. Sorry. Who are your primary competitors, and what is your differentiation besides the UX user experience? So there's one company called BitPay, and they do parts of what we do. There was another one called Coinify. They got just acquired, which is, by the way, interesting, because I do believe that, as with all brand new segments, there's going to be us and other startups, and at some point there's going to be some consolidation. I think the big players, Visa, MasterCard, the banks, once this really takes off and they're losing way too much money on it, they're going to go out and say, oh darn it, we moved too slow, which they always do, which is why I've been selling my companies to IBM and all the big companies, because big companies just do not innovate, right? It's just the way it is. And they've never been able to do it, and they will not, but they do have pockets and deep pockets, and that's why they end up buying the incumbents that come up here and threaten their business. But yeah, so we talked about where are we strong. Well, as I mentioned, we accept both crypto and bank transfers. We have a very strong data engine behind it. So we are providing data analytics to our merchants. We have the settlement guarantee, where no one runs a risk of the cryptocurrency fluctuations. We are, I was mentioning it here on the slide. I see what else I had there. The fees, of course, but that's not so interesting. We cover both exchanges and QR codes. And so there are many other areas that we are stronger than them in. And there are a few other companies, but here's my view on it. Again, this is the early days. The market, if you think about the payments market today, how huge, it's everything we pay with. And we're just talking business to consumer. What about business to business? I mean, I don't want to talk about our plans right now, but it would be obvious to move into that area at some point, because the benefits are the same whether you're B2C or B2B. So if you think about the market and how big the potential is here, it's basically all payments across the world that are ready to become more efficient and thereby much cheaper. And whoever does that, going to make a lot of money. And there's room for many. I remember in the late 90s, I was working for Symantec, and we sold antivirus software. And people said, why are you better than McAfee or all the other AV tools? It was a huge market because every single PC in the world needed antivirus. Guess what? It generated, I don't know, 15 different billion-dollar companies. And the same thing is going to happen here. Are we going to be the biggest or number two? I don't know, but I do know we're going to build a valuable business. Okay, then the other question is, can you chat a little bit about your pathway to NASDAQ listing? Ben, do you want to talk about that? What's our, that's true, good point. We are planning to go to NASDAQ later. I don't know if we're going to make it this year, but definitely next year. But Ben, can you take that one, please?
Yeah, it is our goal to go on to NASDAQ, I would say within the next 9 to 12 months. We basically qualify for most of the requirements of NASDAQ. We do need to do a few things like extend our board of directors, which we're in the process of doing. And we need to have a little more shareholders equity, but we've been talking to investment bankers who will be helping us with that, we hope, in the next several quarters. And so like we said, NASDAQ is the goal for quarter one or quarter two in 2022.
Yeah. Other things that people normally ask us that we've forgotten to mention today, Ben?
Well, I think we covered most of it. Looks like there's one more question for you.
Maybe, yeah. Do you see crypto as revolutionizing financial ecosystems. Okay, well, so this is interesting. First of all, there's two questions here. Do you see crypto as revolutionizing the financial ecosystem? Definitely. Crypto, let's remember what it is. It's digital currency versus physical. Look back at the last 25 to 30 years with the IT revolution. When did we not convert digital to physical? Oh, I'm sorry, physical to digital. It happens all the time. There's no good reason it wouldn't go digital, especially if you go back to the curves I showed you. Do we have a large market? Sure. Payments market is huge. Is it efficient? Is it working well? Ask anyone out there. Consumers and merchants, no, it's not working well. Is it cheap? No, it's not cheap. So it's very expensive. It doesn't work. There's a lot of fraud. And so, yes, it will revolutionize the entire financial ecosystem, just like the mobile phone revolutionized many different industries, just like the internet revolutionized commerce and so on. So the answer is yes. Now, then you ask a different question is, what about bridging the gap of wealth between the haves and have-nots? This is going to benefit the have-nots quite a bit. I heard Warren talk about it the other day, where she's talking about all the unbanked, and this is just in the US. You go to other countries, in other countries, you have 30, 40, 50% of the population, they don't even have a bank account. They do have a mobile phone, okay? So how are they sending money back and forth and all of that? They have to use cash. It's very, very inefficient. Now, if they can put their central bank's digital currency or any digital currency directly on their phone, which they can, and send money back and forth, that will enable them to participate in the financial system. And they don't have to pay all the fees to the banks. And this is what Elizabeth Warren was talking about in the US. She's saying, even though we have a large percentage of our population here who have bank accounts, it is the system, the current system is discriminating against the poorest people in this country. Why is that? If I write a check and I pay the $25 overdraft fee, I can pay that. And how often does that happen? Not very often, because I do rarely get close to zero in my checking account. I'm not saying I have a lot of money, but I have more than most. Or many is maybe a better word. But the point is, if you are underbanked or unbanked in the US, they're the ones who are paying all of these fees all the time. And you think they get a cheaper fee or a discount at the bank because they don't have that much money? No, they pay the same fee as I do and everybody else on this call. And they pay more fees than all of us, and they're making a lot less money. That's not fair. They're also paying high credit card rate fees and all of that. They're the ones paying the bills. They're the ones who can least afford it. Now, imagine you can get your salary and your pension and all the payments that you want directly on your phone for free. No fees to the banks, no fees to the credit cards. And yes, if you want to pay something with something, if you want to pay something with your cryptocurrencies, you can. There might be a fee to us. It's definitely a lot cheaper, and there's not all the fraud. So the ones that are going to benefit the most are the have-nots, in my opinion, at least relatively. So that is the answer to that question. All right, let me see if there are more. Oh, they keep coming. I love it. I saw RocketFuel ads online for a while. Can we look forward to any new client announcement this year? Yes, you can, for sure, of course. We're constantly adding both partners, and this is what I said earlier. We're basing our sales resources on partners more than direct sales, only because that is where we think we're going to get the biggest trajectory. It may take a little longer to get these partners up to speed, but if they have 10,000, 100,000 merchants, then it's going to go much faster that way. So yes, of course, we're going to continue to add consumers. Think about it. If you just look at our revenue, and then you think about, and you know that we charge maybe 1 or 2%, you can already calculate what our transaction volume is. So it's going pretty well. All right. Can Ben talk about the burn rate of the company and the upcoming shoring of the balance sheet? Well, I can talk a little bit about the burn rate. We built where we are for less than $2 million in a little more than a year. We're pretty proud of that. Now we need to raise money, and we have, and we're going to market. And of course, this is a startup like any other here in Silicon Valley. And we are gonna, just like Tesla we're not profitable the first couple of years. It's really about grabbing market share and presence in the market, and then we're gonna get the revenue going really fast. And as you know, most startups like ours, the valuation is a function of the revenue and the growth. Those are the two most important factors, and that's what we're focused on. Grow revenue as fast as we can, and use external capital to fuel that growth. Just like Tesla, it's a proven model over the last 30, 40 years here in Silicon Valley. It's created all the successful companies here, and we're just going to be the next one. But Ben, do you have additional comments there?
Sure. I just realized, I guess my video is not working. I apologize for that. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we are looking to uplist to NASDAQ, and that will include additional financing. Can't really talk about terms until they are publicly announced, but we do have, we are working with an investment banker on that. The other thing I would say is we recently announced that we're implementing a loyalty program, and in connection with that, we'll be issuing our own token, and we're looking to do an IEO to raise funds by selling that token on one of the overseas exchanges. And unlike a lot of people who raise money through ICOs and IEOs, we have a natural use for the token right on our platform, operating similarly to airline miles and other loyalty type programs. So we think it'll be a very successful financial product.
Great. All righty. I don't see any more questions, so I hope that we've provided you a good overview. If not, you can always just contact directly, and we would be happy to answer as many questions as you want. To conclude here, we feel after a year, a little bit more than a year, we are on a good path. And I hope to sit here in 5 years and tell you, I told you so, because this is where Coinbase was sitting 7 years ago. And I don't know if we're going to be as big, but there's plenty of potential in providing infrastructure, including payment infrastructure, to the crypto space. So with that, we will end the presentation today, and wish you a very good rest of your day. Bye-bye.